Hey MMT followers, Christina Fugis with Mold Making Technology, and I am back for another quick MMT chat. My guests today are from Eccentric Mold and Engineering in Clinton Township, Michigan, whose whole team has been proud to be a part of the Domestic Supply Chain Initiative to meet the demand for PPE equipment, personal protection equipment, specifically face shields. So I want you to meet Vice President of Marketing, Mark Strobel, and John Sidorowicz, the VP of Sales, who has spearheaded a face shield project with Zverse, who is a digital manufacturing company located in South Carolina, who helped start this initiative. But gentlemen, before we get into that, I want to talk a little bit just about COVID. It's been a while, right? It's been since March. It feels like it's been years. Let's talk a little bit about its impact on Eccentric. So, how is everybody and how's business?
So we're actually doing really well. When this first hit, they took all office staff and moved us home. So only the production folks are in the two facilities that we have here in Michigan. We've been very fortunate that all of our colleagues have remained healthy through all of this, and everyone has really rallied together to support our customers, while still remaining safe.
So what precautions? Is there anything, is it the standard, do the social distancing? Is there any separation or the shift changes, temperature taking? Get into that a little bit.
Yeah, so we do daily screenings. So anyone prior to entering the facility is going to be checked and asked the normal questions, temperature taken and whatnot, just taking all the proper precautions. Obviously, we're going to do separated workstations, and we're shifting resources between our two facilities to help enable or further the social distancing between employees.
Well, that's a benefit there. I didn't think about that, right? So when you think about the culture of Eccentric and leadership, can you talk a little bit about COVID and how has leadership, how do they continue to keep the company together and, help to make employees feel safe and to keep morale up?
Sure. So Microsoft Teams has been a great tool that we've been using multiple times through the day. So each morning kicks off with a daily meeting that has the department heads throughout all of operations, as well as the executive team on it, and heads of other areas within the office. And we just ensure that everyone has what they need to stay safe, to make sure they can complete their jobs that day, and that everyone remains feeling connected. And then executive leadership has actually been at our plants off and on through this whole thing, and everybody goes through the exact same protocol when they go in. So that's really important to make sure that everyone's feeling connected and no one feels isolated, even if they're working remotely. And the folks that are having to be in the plant doing the work realize that we're all in this together, and that everybody, if they go into the office, is going to go through the same type of screening. We want to make sure everybody is safe.
It's interesting that how important it's become with leadership to be there too. Like, you can't just have all leadership working remotely and expect people to show up. So it's an interesting theme that keeps coming up. In terms of the Microsoft Teams, how was that communication different from what you would have done pre-COVID? Like, is that brand new, or is that just something that's kind of been amped up?
Well, it's not brand new, because these morning huddles, we call them, happened with everybody coming into the same room, in the same conference room, and then we would use Teams at that point to bring in through video the folks at our secondary facility. So now it's just that everybody is now isolated in their own little places. Even if they're in the plant, they're not getting together in the same room. They're from their own individual offices, and everybody just joins in through Teams. So we have already started using this technology, and now it's just pervasive.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. I know even in my job, it's really helped me be part of things, quite frankly, that I wasn't part of before. I work remotely as it is. So everybody else working remotely, I've been brought into meetings using those tools and part of different projects that I may have been left out of because I'm not in the headquarters. So it's been interesting from my perspective. All right, so let's chat about your work with ZVerse. But first, I want to go back a few months when COVID really hit the States. It seemed like everybody, all you were hearing about were people and companies jumping in with 3D printing, of course, to help supply the PPE, to the front lines. So how did this project come about using injection molding?
Sure. Well, so 3D printing has always been a great way to get projects kind of started rapidly, about designs, fulfill initial small scale demand. But ZVerse actually, they realized that the massive quantities that they were trying to get out on a monthly basis, 3D printing just couldn't keep up, both at scale as well as for cost. So they realized that they needed to switch to injection molding pretty quickly, produce these on this massive scale, and make sure that the price points were where healthcare providers could actually afford them. So quickly ramping up production of high quality plastic parts in really large quantities at good prices is the power of Accentric's rapid injection molding concept. So we had already had some relationship with ZVerse, and they contacted us right away to get started, and we were just thrilled to jump in and be able to help.
So to give the audience a little snapshot so we can kind of have a comparison, what is Accentric known for? What's a typical job or mold types or projects?
I mean, I can take that, Mark. I mean, we're kind of known for quick turn, rapid manufacturing. So just taking your design or concept and turning it into an actual product within weeks.
Okay. So that time frame, talking to a lot of shops, right? They're used to these production tools and these long lead times. So working on these COVID projects, things being urgent, they're doing things they've never done before. So this is kind of right up your alley, more or less, right?
Correct.
That's the advantage. So in terms of, all right, let's get into the project in terms of what are you making? You're saying face shields, but was it also the headband? Let's talk about the design and what the actual product is you were making.
All right, so I actually do have, the product here. So this is actually the complete unit, the face shield. The part of it that we made was actually the headband, which is this. So it's a very simplistic design, which was helpful. Just a medical grade polypro material. Yeah, just a simple, easy part to make that we could do quickly.
And I'll weigh in a little bit on that as well. We got a couple of samples, several samples in. They shipped to me here at my house. My wife is an RN and was on the front line when the spikes were pretty high. And she said that not only did these things go together really easy, they were not nearly as flimsy as other things she had gotten in the past. And they were actually comfortable to wear. So, we're really quite proud of the work that we're doing there with ZVerse on these.
I mean, the comfort, that's been exciting too, to see manufacturers and specifically mold builders get involved in, as they were hearing out in the world, the ears, the bleeding, the discomfort, like the designs were changing to just really help on a comfort level with these people that have to wear them constantly. So you talked about before we started recording this, that the design has changed for this. Can you talk about that a little bit and why has the design changed?
Well, it's moving from, a headband way of wearing it to almost like a neck. It's going to be more for food service, for being in public, so it doesn't strain. You're not wearing it on your head, and it's more of a fit-all application where this may not fit every head or fit every head comfortably. So this is still being made, but they're moving towards that other design currently.
Okay, that's interesting too. Now we're not that we're getting away from people on the medical front lines, but there is a stronger focus on like hair salons, barbers, the restaurant workers. You're right, things are moving in a different direction, which is exciting in a way that we can be creating all this product here in the States for our own people. I mean, it's not going to go away anytime soon. Right. Sad to say on that level.
And when you think about this change, this new design, where it's sits on your shoulders and kind of goes up this way. When you're a service worker, like if you're serving somebody at a restaurant or a hair salon or something, you're typically looking down at them. Blocks,
True.
anything that can be coming out of your mouth going towards those individuals. So it's just an extra way of protection.
Interesting. You do think about that. There is a lot of exposure with other shields. You're right, coming in to the side. Interesting. So when this project came in with ZVerse, how did this, again, this is kind of up your alley, but was it an all hands on deck type of project? How did you work it into your schedule?
Sure. Well, we had already prioritized PPE and medical equipment from the beginning of this. So when this project came up, our team jumped in right away to begin analyzing the part design and designing the required molds. The design actually changed in process, not to the one that we just talking about, but the design itself, the initial one, changed in process, and the volumes increased dramatically. So at that point, we actually leveraged our ecosystem. In particular, one of our partner suppliers nearby, Butler Plastics, to support the product and produce the size of molds that are required for the types of volumes that ZVerse was aspiring to. So we all jumped in, and we were able to leverage our ecosystem, and they were eager to help as well.
I love that too. I'm hearing a lot about how crucial your networks are, your relationships, not just even your peer shops, but also your supply chain. So that's a testament to that too. What do you think was moving through that project, and as you continually are, what have you learned, or have you learned about your process? Like, is there something, when this is all said and done, are you going to implement, or have you already, something new in terms of how you do things because of this project or this type of work?
Well, our team really takes pride in all the work that they do, yet when the project's actually turned to helping frontline healthcare workers and now frontline service workers and providing equipment to support ill patients, the dedication and determination really intensified.
Mm-hmm.
That personal aspect of these projects really resonates with all of our colleagues. And we've always looked at what we create as not just plastic parts, but in the end, they're doing something for someone. But for these medical personal protective equipment, just really elevated that experience and that feeling. So we want to continue that wave, moving forward.
I think that is important for manufacturing in general too. If you think about it, there's been a giant spotlight on manufacturing, right? And mold making specifically, quite frankly. So what you just said, you hope will resonate with the next generation, and they will start, something will click in their heads that, oh man, these products, these meaningful products, these life-saving products, right? Protection products come from molds. Maybe that's something I'd be interested in getting involved in, so I'm hoping this helps with marketing our industry. We shall see. I'm going to keep pushing the message out there, so I hope everybody like you guys are doing the same thing. So did you learn anything in particular about your people outside of being motivated by something so urgent, to human life? Anything in particular about your people?
Well, I'd say that they realized we had some limitations with some people being able to come in. So we were a little bit lower capacity, and so there were people that jumped right in and said, all right, that may not be my department or my specific task, but I want to help. And that was great. It was without asking, without prompting.
Right.
That's a true team. Were there specific technologies that, whether it's software or hardware equipment, that you would say you learned are essential to achieving what you achieved?
Nothing really out of the ordinary. Obviously, everything starts with a CAD drawing. So, and then obviously have the machining to cut the tooling. So, we had a short timeline. I think we did, obviously producing, 250,000 plus parts in less than a month. We had to have multi-cavity tooling. So we did 4 cavity tools in about 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, and then 3 to 4 weeks of production. So it was a short time frame to get everything together. So it's really existing technology that helped make it happen.
Is there anything on that wish list in terms of equipment?
Not at this time. I mean, not here at least.
That's good. That's
We've
good.
got all the good toys.
That's good. Was this in any way, so talking about Zverus, I know you had a relationship with them prior. Was this in any way a reshored type of job? Is this something that they typically would have done overseas or no?
Well, this was actually a lot of suppliers were involved in this. So they had we were just one of many molders making this part, just due to the high demand. They knew that one molder couldn't make this happen. So that's how we got involved. I ended up, this was a phone call that came in on a Saturday morning, and I think within a week we had stuff in process. So it happened quick.
That's great. How was your supply chain? Like in terms of what you needed, whether it's mold components, hot runner system, whatever, how was your suppliers to you response?
Great. Just like, I gave them a call, let them know what was going on. I mean, they were jumping on things. I had material shipping in from, I think it was in Mexico getting transferred to us. I think I don't know, 100,000 pounds of material we got. Just everything would just happen perfect. So the supply chain and our suppliers were great throughout the whole process.
That's awesome. No specific bottleneck or hurdle in regards to that, I guess, huh?
Nope.
That's great. That's great. So before I let you go, well, is there anything else in particular about this partnership with Zverus that you want to talk about? Like, where is it going from now?
I mean, we're currently looking at the new design. They're refining it. They are currently making it, but they are looking to refine it even more. So we're continue to work with them on that project as well as others.
Are you involved at all in marketing that and like getting the word out to people that want to purchase these things? Is that something we can help get the word out about? Or yeah, absolutely. And in fact, we sent out a press release about this. Zverus did as well, and it had a link in it so that if anybody wanted to purchase these, they were able to do so. And it wasn't just mass quantities. That's obviously something that the healthcare system needs. But individuals could purchase these in, I think in units as small as 5. So oh, wow.
For companies that were starting to reopen and wanted to be able to have these types of shields, there's the ability to purchase those.
Okay, I will find that link and I will include that when I push this chat out. So before I let you go, moving forward, what do you both think, we'll start with Mark, is your biggest concern related to COVID as we move forward?
Well, I think it's really twofold. Primarily keeping our colleagues and their families safe and healthy. I mean, that is our biggest concern. When our colleagues are coming into the office, we're trying to keep them as far apart as we can be, which in many departments within production is natural because of the way that the machines are separated. Other departments, not as much. So as John said earlier, we've made modifications to shifts and move people around to different plants. But that still is our primary concern, and we cannot, any of us, let our guard down. Right. Start to see things open up. We've also seen across the country that now we're seeing spikes in different states. And so, that concern about keeping everybody healthy is primary, but it's closely followed by the threat of these secondary and tertiary spikes that we're going to probably experience over the next 12 months and the impact that that's going to have on U.S. manufacturing.
Got it. Agree, John?
Yeah, I echo that.
So lastly, how do you either one of you or both of you have an opinion on how do you see mold making and molding specifically emerging from COVID and COVID's impact?
Well, you mentioned something about, you'd ask about if this Zverus project was offshored or could have, were they looking at offshoring? Well, even before this pandemic, we were seeing companies come to us about onshoring or reshoring. And that was driven by all of the tariffs that were being placed, on things that were coming from China and other countries. And on a weekly basis, companies didn't know whether their parts were going to be taxed or not.
Right.
So when this pandemic hit and China literally shut down, they realized that there was a major impact to the supply chain. And they needed to look for a way of making their supply chains more robust, more agile. And even if it isn't specifically onshoring or reshoring, they know that they needed domestic solutions.
Yeah.
And I think that what they're finding is that the mold makers, especially the ones who have digital capability, who can do business without the personal face-to-face interaction, and can maintain production because a lot of it is digitally run, I think are definitely finding themselves becoming more prominent in the sourcing discussion with outside manufacturers within the country.
Interesting. Good point. Well, I want to thank both of you for your time today. A nice little snippet of how things are going in Eccentric Mold. I want you to remember, for everything mold making, everybody out there, visit moldmakingtechnology.com, and stay safe and stay healthy.